Hey guys, it is Beb. So basically, I have a super big, exciting news update, like pertaining to my health, and also kind of like as a story time type format kind of thing because, I don't know, I'm just really excited about this, and I want to put people at rest because I know there's people worried about me, and I don't really give that many updates, and yeah, so I'm kind of just going to start out. By the way, I do not have a script, and there's not really going to be many cuts or anything, so I am just going and telling you guys what has happened. So, basically, if you know, my health has really not been that great pertaining to like my, like cardio, like, okay, wait, what's the word? My heart. Okay, I'm not that smart right now. Okay. My heart, I get like heart palpitations. It feels like my heart flutters. I feel it in my throat, and along with this, I have like other symptoms like I don't know, things I'm not really gonna get into because yeah, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but that is the big main thing with like shortness of breath, a lot of anxiety, um, you know, like breathing wise, heart wise, anxious like all the time, and yeah, so if you watched the other one, you know like the full story going on to that, but I'm not going to say all of that again. I'm just going to like get into like the next part. So if you're like super curious, there's another video you can click on it. It's probably in the top right now. But like I don't care if you want to go watch that one first or like you're over it. But pertaining to that, no one could figure out what was wrong with me, so it was basically just dismissed as anxiety, which was super annoying because I'm listing all of these symptoms that I know is not anxiety. I know myself, I know my body, I know it's not anxiety. I know that's not what I feel when I feel anxiety. I know that, that it's something else. But I would tell the doctors my symptoms. I would tell people my symptoms. And they would be like, oh yeah, that's anxiety. And, to be fair, I mean, what is really going on does kind of mock the symptoms of anxiety, and I have been on medication for anxiety in the past, but if we are being real for a second, I feel like since this particular thing that I'm gonna reveal in a minute, it is common in women, like 10 times more common in women than it is in men. I think that before diagnosing someone with anxiety, you should check for this thing, woman or man, because, it does mock the symptoms of anxiety and it can definitely be mistaken. And if left untreated for too long and dismissed for too long, it can kill you suddenly. Um, so that's like such a scary thing to have like happen to you, and no one's listening to you. So you need to figure out what is wrong yourself before anyone takes you seriously, which is totally not how the health system should be. You should not have to figure out what is wrong yourself using your resources. You should be able to go to a doctor, get yourself assessed, and not be automatically assumed that, oh, it is this thing because blah blah blah. You should be assessed based on your symptoms for, to get rid of the risk, like to narrow it down to what it actually is instead of immediately just assuming one thing or, you know, which I mean, I think something should change, but it's not like me making this is gonna do anything. That is just my opinion on the matter, and I'm not a doctor, but I am planning on going into the medical field in the future, so I think that, that is something, maybe I, one step at a time, could change, but I don't really know about that yet. Um, so basically, I feel like I'm, like, being annoying. I haven't told you what it is yet. So, no one really thinks about it, um, but it is my thyroid, most likely. And your thyroid, it controls your pulse, it controls all these things, your hormones, your pulse. And when you have an overactive thyroid, it can present symptoms in a lot of ways. And obviously, not everybody is the same, but I still think that it should be checked, especially since my thyroid is overactive, so it's large. I can feel my thyroid in my throat. You are not supposed to be able to feel your thyroid. You should be unaware that it is even there. And it's large in my throat, so you can literally see it. It's in my throat. You can see it from the outside. It's like under my Adam's apple. You can see it from the outside. And nobody has presented this to me. And so one day I decided to Google, like, it feels like a little pill stuck in your throat, kind of like, not little, it feels like a big pill or like a piece of food that no matter how many times you swallow, um you feel it there. It nothing gets it to go away. And sometimes I feel it more than other times. And the only reason that I even started to suspect that it might be my thyroid, which I have never really learned about the thyroid. I am not educated about the thyroid. I in school I have always been educated about the heart and things like that because of the medical programs I've been through. I have never specialized or learned about hormones or the thyroid or the endocrine system in general. Has never I have never really been educated in, and I feel like if I was more educated about that certain body system, I feel like it's skipped over a lot. So the only reason that I even started to suspect that it might be my thyroid was because I was having an episode of like heart palpitations and things like that, and that night I was so worried that I wanted someone to drive me down to, maybe the hospital or somewhere where I can get assessed while it's happening, because every time I get assessed, my heartbeat is normal, it's fine, it's not palpitating by the time I get there. So no one really believes me, and they all dismiss it as anxiety because of the awful, awful timing. So I went the other night to, what's it called? The firefighters go there. I mean, they like a fire station. I don't even know what it's called, but I went there to get my heart assessed because they can do that and they're open 24/7. So, I went there. It was like 1 in the morning, and I convinced someone to take me there just to get my heart checked. But what I failed to like mention was I could feel my heartbeat like in my throat. It was like pulsing in the bottom of my throat, where my thyroid is. But like I said, since I'm not educated in the endocrine system, I didn't even think of my thyroid. It's like, do you consciously think about where your spleen is in your body? No, you do not. I was not consciously thinking of where my thyroid is in my body. So that is something I just completely failed to mention. Hey, maybe it's my thyroid. So they said, you're fine, go to the hospital and get further checked, but from what we can see, you're fine. So I was gonna go to the hospital, but then they were like, oh, it's late at night, so let's just wait it out and see if you get better, and then you go to sleep, and then maybe you'll wake up in the morning and you'll be fine. Which I did wake up in the morning and I was fine. I just had a very restless night because it's really, really uncomfortable and it causes a lot of chest pain. So this was really, something that I had to be worried about for a long time. The night I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I just know that I'm presenting all of these symptoms and nobody can figure out what's wrong with me. So yeah, then I since I could not sleep, I know I shouldn't have, but I did turn to Google and I was like, I a thyroid thing popped up and I was like, no, probably not. And then I looked into the symptoms of having an overactive thyroid or an underactive thyroid, Hashimoto's, or having goiters, or all these things that could happen with your thyroids, and I'm like, hey, I have a lot of these symptoms. So the next day, I had a doctor's appointment, I think is how it went. I had a doctor's appointment. And so I happen to mention it. I'm gonna have and my blood assessed and see if my hormone levels are okay, which they are not. So I need to take a look at that. Since my hormone levels are signified that something is going on with my thyroid, my hormone levels are not okay. Yeah, I was right. I basically diagnosed myself and I ended up being right. So now I should be scheduled for a thyroid ultrasound soon to see what is wrong, like if it's cancer, if it's an overactive thyroid, if it's an underactive thyroid, am I getting goiters in my thyroid, and then what treatment steps to follow that. So there are a number of treatments that you can get, and it is pretty easily treatable, so I'm super grateful for that. If it's not cancer. If it's cancer, then, not so easily treatable, but I have faith that it is not cancer. So there is a few things you can do. And I'd like to say there's medicine for it to, keep your symptoms under control, as well as following a good diet, like gluten-free, dairy-free, all of that, which, I am going to have a very hard time with, but if that's what I have to do to keep myself from experiencing these things and, dying suddenly, then I guess no more gluten for me. And then, there's also a surgery option to remove part or all of your thyroid, but that means you would have to take hormones for the rest of your life. And, I just really like to try to avoid that. And, maybe go with the medicine and the restrictive diet. And, maybe that would, be better for my lifestyle. Then, because, I do forget to take my medication a lot. But, like, if I have like a lot of medication, I tend to that I have to take at different times of the day, I tend to forget more often than not. So yeah, that's pretty annoying. So I feel like I don't trust myself to take a pill every day for the rest of my life. So, I'm kind of just like weighing the pros and cons of like surgery or like medicine. So I don't really know what I'm going to be doing in terms of that yet, but at least I have now figured out what the problem is, and that is really something that is excited for me, because I thought, because my mother, actually, she might have this too, because she has an undiagnosed autoimmune disorder, they think, and she experiences a lot of the same symptoms as I do, along with my grandmother as well. We all kind of experience the same symptoms. This might be, too much information, but, weird menstrual cycles, irregularity, infertility, like a lot of those things. Your hormones can really mess up if you have too much estrogen or too little estrogen. It's your thyroid's fault. And your thyroid also controls your heartbeat, so heart palpitations frequently is a big symptom of that, which is, so now that I know what is wrong with me, I can get treatment for it and then hopefully live a normal life without all of these issues. And yeah, so I'm just kind of really happy. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm really happy that I have kind of figured out on my own what it was wrong and got myself checked, and now, I can finally, I feel like I'm saying, a lot, but I don't know, I'm just really happy about that. And, yeah, so that's all I really have to say about that. But, I do want to tell you, if you're I'm gonna read off a list of symptoms. And if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, I really, really, really want you to go get your thyroid checked, because it is so often dismissed as anxiety, especially in women. People say women overreact, women this, women that, but women are also really susceptible to, thyroid issues with the estrogen they have producing. So I really want you to go get yourself checked out. And especially if you think you have anxiety, nervousness, irritability, that can be your thyroid. And there could be actually nothing wrong with your pituitary gland. It could just all be your thyroid. So, just listen. So excess sweating, excessive hunger, fatigue, heat intolerance, or cold intolerance, or restlessness at night, especially at night when you're trying to sleep, mood swings, nervousness, panic attacks, abnormal heart rhythm, fast heart rate, or palpitations, difficulty falling asleep or insomnia, irregular menstruation or short and light menstruation, hyperactivity, behavioral, by the way, hyperactivity or irritability, weight loss, hair loss, muscle weakness, tremor, or warm skin. So I have like basically like all of these, which is was like a super big red flag. And you might not even notice these symptoms until someone says it to you, and then you're like, wait, yeah, that kind of sounds like me. Which is kind of what happened to me. There's symptoms I didn't really notice, like, insomnia, things like that. I have a really hard time going to sleep, and I just blamed it on the palpitations and stuff like that. I just thought I just wasn't a really heavy sleeper, but that is actually symptoms of your thyroid acting up, and if you think you have a large thyroid or an overactive thyroid, you can check at home, but it's not completely guaranteed that, that is what is going on. So basically, you tilt your head back, and if you want to feel your thyroid before you do this, it should be right under your Adam's apple. So if you feel your Adam's apple, and then you swallow, right under that might help you locate where your thyroid is. It is usually right under your Adam's apple. And then you might feel a hard little lump that kind of feels like your Adam's apple, but a little different. I don't really know how to explain it, but that there is your thyroid. It's a little butterfly-shaped muscle. No big deal. It's usually pretty small. Mine's pretty large, but if you tilt your head back, all the way back, and then take a sip of water, it might be a little hard to swallow, but you have to swallow it. Or if you, produce a lot of saliva, I guess that works too. But you swallow, and if you see your thyroid poke out when you swallow, that is probably means to get checked, because when it is that large, there's probably something going on. And then if you do just have a large thyroid for no reason, sometimes people just have a large thyroid, but it works healthy, then good on you, but you should still probably go get it checked out to know, because there are things called thyroid storms that onset suddenly, kind of like a brain aneurysm. You cannot know you have an overactive thyroid for years until one day some conditions have to be set in place, and then suddenly you can literally die from the heart palpitations. So yeah, it's no joke, but it's often ignored, and a lot of women have it, especially in the United States. So just get checked. It won't hurt you to go get checked. You can do a little self-assessment, and if you really feel that you are at risk for this, then, and especially since it could be cancer, you should really get it checked. I really recommend that. My mom, if mine comes out to be, an issue that is very big, my mom is going to get checked since she has the same symptoms as me, and then also my grandmother is going to get checked. Because, it is a genetic thing and runs in the line of women. So, yeah. I'm sorry this was kind of really long, and that's all I really have to say. But, that's basically it. There's probably not going to be any more updates unless a few updates in videos that don't really have their own title for the update. I might do like an intro and be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm fine, I'm good now. But that's not really going to be in the title or anything. So yeah, that's going to be it. And I don't know, let me know what you think, and yeah. So bye.